Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thank you to everyone who's been listening, who's been sharing me on their story or in our Discord chat, and who's just been giving me great feedback. And I appreciate the compliments, but just the feedback in the sense of when y'all share with me your thoughts, your experiences, your takes on whatever topic we are discussing that week. It's just so cool, like I've been saying recently, to be part of such a cool community, such a relatable community, such a baddie community. When you forget every word. It's just been so cool to chat with you guys, on the Discord and of course on Instagram, of course in the YouTube comments. And also I wanted to thank everyone who was so supportive of my recent YouTube video. I've kind of been talking here and there about switching up the vibes on my YouTube channel and doing less vlogs and more so helpful content, how-to videos, motivational videos, but not in an annoying way, in a cute aesthetic way, and I tried to do that with my recent video, how to be productive, and I feel like I got a really good response. So thank you guys so much for that. I woke up this morning on this fine Monday, which is the day I record, just feeling so great and energized and grateful. And I don't know, I just feel like it's been a while since I woke up genuinely so excited for the day. Not in a cry for help way, but just I know we've talked about it, bro, but I just feel like all through January, for a lot of January, in the day-to-day, I just would have such bad anxiety. And not to get into that again, because I feel like we've already talked about that enough, but I just feel really proud of myself for being able to turn it around. And I guess I'm proud that I'm able to recognize when something in my life is off balance and do something about it, take action. Because I really feel like I did that. And over this whole past week, I tried to do that. And this weekend, I just had such a great weekend. I was social. I went out, but it wasn't too much. It was just the perfect balance of everything, I feel. And therefore, I woke up today just so happy and blessed, honestly. And I think it also just really helps that it is beginning to feel more like spring every day, every week. It's, the days are getting longer. There's more daylight. It's getting warmer. And there's just that feeling of hope in the air, and just, new beginnings and we're finally coming out of that winter doldrum. So I'm sure a lot of people feel the same. And that's kind of why I like to talk about things, because it's, it's not the Stella Experience podcast. Ew, not in a Joe Rogan way. Just it's not I'm just here to talk about my life. But, I like to talk about things that I feel would be relevant to other people and maybe someone relates to, because that's really the basis of humanity. Anyway, I feel like I have so many topics today, y'all. We're going to talk about Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about this question I got on IG that's going to maybe turn into a rant. I don't know. And I have a lot of little topics to talk about as well. So let's get our beverages in order. I had this, it's a glorified protein. Okay. To me, a smoothie is nutrient dense. It has superfoods in it. It has flaxseed. It has multiple things. This is just 2 scoops of protein powder with a banana and frozen strawberries and water. Not tap water, filtered water, but still water. It's just when I want, something about that sound, just something about just a protein and a shaker. It's fine, but if I have the time, I do like to add fruit and blend it. And then I also, to celebrate the podcast, I actually have a lot of this, not a lot, but a significant amount of this left. Grande shaken espresso, 2/3 decaf. So there's 3 shots of espresso in here. 2 of them are decaf and 1 of them is regular. With oat milk and 2 pumps of brown sugar syrup. So it's basically the brown sugar shaken oat milk. But when you order on the app, you cannot make that specific drink 2/3 decaf. You have to go to just the shaken espresso and customize it. So that's what I do. And it just really hits. That's another thing I'm really proud of, my caffeine vibe. I'm not 100% off caffeine. I've definitely been having literally at most 1 espresso. But I feel maybe one of my recent realizations has just been balance and almost moderation not in a restrictive way, because I feel like so often when I hear the word moderation, at least, it sounds restrictive. Like, it sounds like you have to, like, stop. But I've been kind of looking at it, you know, specifically with caffeine, but you could also look at it with, like, I don't know, good food, you know, treat yourself food, or like alcohol, or just anything in life, you know. Finding your sweet spot, I guess. It's, yeah, not so much, I guess it is technically moderation, but I've been thinking of it more as like finding your sweet spot. Like caffeine. I do not need to feel like I'm fucking tweaking, okay? But like this weekend, I was like, you know, I was gonna clean, and me and Sonia were going to this food market, so I just didn't really want to have caffeine before, because, you know, I always have a great time there, but sometimes when I do go to a place that's like, I don't know, a lot of people in an open space, like sometimes I do get kind of anxious. I've been that way since I was a kid. Like I've just never really liked big crowds like that. And like it's a very calm environment. I knew I was going to be fine, but I was like I didn't even feel anxious or anything, but I was just like, look, I don't really need caffeine today. But then, bro, I was trying to clean, and I just was like, bro, I just want to make like a little espresso and just kind of sip on it while I clean. It's just going to help me get through the clean. And then if I need to, like, I can always take some CBD later, like whatever. And I just had the perfect amount to just give me a little bit of a boost. I did not like feel caffeinated, you know what I mean? But it was just like the perfect amount to just kind of like perk me up. And I was like, oh, this is probably what caffeine's supposed to feel like, versus like when I would go get a Dunkin' large, which is like a big gulp, like it's so fucking big, like cold brew. It was rare that I would be able to finish that, but like I would just drink that, and then I'd be tweaking at the end of my cleaning. Like I would only ever really get that on a cleaning day, like especially if I was hungover. It's so nice to not feel like that. So yeah, that's really been working for me, and I think especially, sorry if y'all are tired of talking about this, but I just know so many of y'all deal with anxiety, and so many of y'all are fucking addicted to coffee, so look at the correlation. But I think it's also really been helping not to have it first thing in the morning, you know? And you can go back, watch my vlogs, listen to my old podcasts. Y'all probably remember, I'm like, I just like a coffee in the morning. Like I do, but I don't even have a decaf coffee anymore in the morning. Like I've gotten myself off of it. That's just like what routine can do. And like, I don't know, when you stick to something, you know, your body can like change and you just won't crave something anymore. And I think what also really helped me is just thinking of all the benefits. 'Cause now I will have like my bone broth and like a peppermint tea with like the herbal drops for specifically stress and anxiety. And I just really think of all the benefits of these beverages. And like having a coffee first thing was just turning into like, oh, this is just going to give me stress and anxiety. I'm not even enjoying it. So why am I doing this? Like just out of habit. So yeah, if you're fucking dealing with anxiety, bitch, cut down on the caffeine for sure. And sugar. But I feel like caffeine is so like, it can just amplify your anxiety so much. So I've really cut down a lot. Thank God. And that's the thing. I just feel like my caffeine tolerance was high, but I don't feel like I was really having that much. Like I was having maybe I was definitely having like 2 coffees a day, but like, I know an actual cup of coffee is like 8 ounces. So like if I'm getting a 16-ounce cold brew, that's technically 2, like, you know, but now I'm just having 1 espresso a day maximum. Game changer. Amazing. Just also on the topic of anxiety and whatnot, it's actually been a current theme. Like I had a friend who was going through this recently, and then I saw this girl post on IG, and then someone in the Discord was talking about it. I've definitely experienced it. But just when you have so much anxiety that it's like hard to eat or like hard to swallow, or you just period have no appetite, what to do when that happens. For me, I feel like when I get really bad anxiety like that, it's usually because of like something, you know, like I'll be nervous before doing something, like sometimes before a flight. Hopefully less so now these days because I've kind of practice going through the motions. Or just like before I have to do something really stressful that's causing me a lot of anxiety, I definitely like, it's so hard for me to eat. Like I just can't, like it's hard to swallow, all of that. Like I personally don't really experience it just like randomly. Like I feel like if I'm randomly anxious, I don't also have that like stress feeling, but it also just depends. I don't know. But my overall tips for that are just focusing on really basic foods, and specifically things like smoothies, soup, don't laugh, but like broth. I told the girl today, like miso soup, because it's always going to be easier to just like swallow a liquid than it is to like chew a hearty meal. Me after talking about how much I ate this weekend. Bro, I swear my ass grew too. Like damn, I should probably eat like this more often. But yeah, so just focusing on really basic foods like that, or like cereal. I know some people just really like, plain white rice, or like just a piece of toast or something. Like something is better than nothing. So hopefully something isn't like a bunch of candy, because that's not going to help you, but like just like 30 bananas blended with tap water, like just something easy. But like smoothies, liquids, a boba would even be better than nothing. Try not to get a caffeinated one, but something is better than nothing. Or like a juice, like just go get a green juice, babe. Like even just a glass of juice, something is better than nothing. And having tea also, like a stomach ease tea, peppermint tea. I really like the stomach ease yogi one because it just has so many good herbs specifically for digestion. But you can always just do like a ginger tea or a peppermint tea, something that's just going to kind of stimulate and like soothe your digestion, because stress can just really affect our stomachs and our digestive system and everything. So if it's hard to get any food down and you just feel like your stomach's in knots, or you're getting stress poops, like definitely just having a tea. And I know it's like so cliche, bro, but like really focusing on your breath. The thing is, it really does work. And ever since having my Apple Watch and being able to track my heart rate, sometimes it definitely does stress me out more. But just really realizing and having the actual data in front of me of how deep breathing, sometimes you got to do a lot of them, but deep, slow breathing, slow your heart rate, and therefore regulates your nervous system and calms you the fuck down. Also, something that I have kind of realized as far as anxiety, and let me know if you can relate. And y'all remember that article I read about, and I talked about a Nick Wignall article about how, what was it called? Confidence over fear or something, or confidence over anxiety, where avoiding something because it makes you anxious is just going to make you more anxious, because you're teaching your brain to, you're teaching your brain, this, we do need to avoid this, like good call, like let's never do this again. So something I've really been actively practicing is like, and just noticed is, if I just am able to sit through it, something in my brain like shifts. And like for me, this is an example. Let me know if you relate. Sometimes if I've been in the house all day and then I go walk somewhere or do an errand, sometimes like the world, and I've talked about this before, I feel I'm like having a flashback, but the world will just like, I'll get anxiety just being out around a lot of people because I've just been inside all day by myself. And sometimes the world just feels like too much, like it's too much stimulation or something. I don't know. But I will always notice like my hands get kind of numb and cold, and that's like a nervous system response. Your body thinks you're in danger, so it's turning off certain things to focus on like your main things that you would need to fight or flight. So let's say I'm like going to meet my friend for lunch, and I've been inside all day. I'm kind of feeling like anxious. My heart rate is up. I'm feeling like kind of tingly hands or sweaty or cold. If I'm just able to sit through it instead of like, oh, I feel anxious, like let me leave, this is a bad sign, like I need to just leave. If I just sit and I focus on my breathing and I focus on talking to my friend, I will be uncomfortable. But then it's like, because I didn't run away, my body's like, oh, we're not in danger. And then for me, I always notice it first. Like, my hands feel warm. Like, I'll feel warm. And that's like the circulation returning to those areas because your nervous system is like stabilizing. And I will also notice it like, I noticed it this weekend because I went to go get a wax, and I love waxing so much better, like Brazilian wax. I don't really have like thick hair, so I don't really feel like I need to wax anywhere else. Like shaving kind of does it for me. But that area, you know, the skin is just sensitive, and like, yeah, I started waxing last year. Will never go back. If anything, maybe I do laser, but I will never go back to shaving. But even though I've been doing it for a while, like, I still get kind of nervous before, because it is, you know, it is kind of painful. It's not like the worst, but I will always get nervous. So my wax girl is so nice. Like, I'm usually a more quiet client, but we just be chopping it up. We be chatting. She's just such good vibes and just so nice. Like, I want to be her friend. So I was feeling just like anxious, even though like I wasn't just feeling like nervous, like, oh, about to experience pain. Like, I was just feeling kind of anxious, but she's just doing her thing. I'm like, bro, I just got to get through this. And she did like one side. And then I just told myself in my head, like, oh, you're almost done. And like, I swear immediately after thinking that, like, it's like my brain was like, oh, you're right. And I like, even though I was still getting wax, experiencing pain, like, my nervous system like calmed down. Like, I felt, you know, the warmth return to my hands. I was just able to focus on the convo with her and not like be worrying about having anxiety. And it's moments like that like sometimes it can just be so hard to get there, especially if the anxiety is like overbearing. It's like, why would I fucking put myself through this when I could just leave or run away or like go home or like go to the car or whatever. But it's so worth it when you do push through the discomfort and your brain realizes like on its own that it's fine, because, you know, that's why people do drugs and drink and do whatever, because, you know, we're trying to not feel our fucking uncomfortable, but not even just feelings, but just how our body feels. Like, bro, oh, I'll feel so much better after I just like take a Xanax or like have a drink or smoke or whatever. But like, if you're able to train yourself, the key, and it's so much easier fucking said than done, but the key is to be able to realize that like it's possible for you to get there, like just on your own naturally. And like, I say that with a grain of salt because everyone is different. Everyone has had different traumatic experiences. Like, this is not just like, you can fix your trauma by just like not being a little bitch. Like, obviously some people have more severe anxiety or just like things going on than someone else. Like, just want to preface this. This is not like my professional medical opinion. I am not I'm not certified. But that's just kind of what I've been doing to just help that general, like, it's not even really social anxiety, but just like that specific anxiety of like going back into the world and feeling overwhelmed and like overstimulated and just like it was too much. So let me know if you've ever experienced that or tried that, and maybe hopefully if you haven't, even just me bringing it up will make you just be more aware, because that, I've said this before, but awareness and like an education and just like knowledge on what actually is going on with our bodies and like our brains and whatnot and the nervous system, even that in itself can just help reduce anxiety so much. Because, you know, think back to your first panic attack. You probably thought you were fucking dying because you didn't know what was happening to you. But when you know, okay, it's just my nervous system's out of whack, I'm having these physical side effects, I am safe, even though I'm uncomfortable, it will pass, I can return to safety and like just stability. It's like, thank fuck. Even just that alone like has helped me so much. So again, that's not to say like you don't need, like, bro, just take it with a grain of salt. Like, do what you gotta do. Like, it's not to say you're gonna get over your anxiety just by me saying that or like just thinking that to yourself, but it's helpful, and it's good to have little tips and tricks throughout your everyday that you can just like bring yourself back to. And also, again, like, I just feel like talking about it helps a lot, because sometimes it's also embarrassing to experience anxiety because it seems so irrational, and like it's not like everyone around in public is like, yes, I'm experiencing anxiety right now. Like it seems like everyone's just normal and like, oh my God, I'm the only one feeling this way. And it's not even a scary situation. Like, why am I feeling like it is? But when we can talk about it, it's like, okay, I'm not alone in this. So anyway, let me know what your anxiety tips are. I feel like we talk about it a lot, but I just feel like a lot of us go through that and it fucking sucks, but we can feel better and we can always return to stability and honestly just like inner peace. So for our next topic, I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day because it is coming up, y'all. It's on Monday. And, it's like a trendy time. There's just like obviously a lot of tea around Valentine's. And specifically, I wanted to we're just going to talk about it all. If you're in a long-term relationship where you've been together for a while, I'm assuming you probably experienced the least anxiety about Valentine's Day or just like stress compared to the other subgroups, which may include you are freshly dating and you've never experienced a Valentine's Day together before, or you're kind of like just in the talking stage. It's like, do we even acknowledge Valentine's Day? Or you're single, not talking to nobody. And it's like, okay, bitch, am I going to be alone forever? Who remembers that movie? Was it literally called Valentine's Day? But like with Taylor Swift and Taylor Lautner? Maybe I should just rewatch that. But I found an article. I found an article from ADAA, Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Perfect. An article titled Valentine's Day, Day of Love or Day of Longing. And they honestly had some really good tips. So I just want to go over this. And this can apply to anyone, even if you are in a long-term relationship. There's still just, I think the problem with Valentine's Day, why so many people dislike it, obviously there's the whole like, oh, I don't have a partner or whatever. But even if you do have a partner, there's just so many expectations, I feel. But I think there's like a few things we can do to help with that and to just make the whole experience better, more fun, and just like more enjoyable, because that's what it should be, right? Okay, when people are like, don't say should. It's like, what other word is there? Could. Okay, so I'll link this down below. Their first tip, set helpful expectations. If you are in a romantic relationship, then you need to accept that both you and your partner are flawed human beings who cannot possibly create a perfect day of celebration just because it's Valentine's Day. Our Western culture myth of two people who perfectly understand each other without having to be told what to do, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, we never even have to communicate because we just understand each other so well. Bitch, it's fake. It's unattainable. That's never going to happen. When you accidentally believe in a false ideal and compare yourself to this false ideal, then your relationship will always come up as a failure. Instead, think of creating a time to be yourselves with each other your way. Talk to each other about what you think would feel special. You might also need to celebrate at a more convenient time when work or school schedules are more convenient. I don't know if you guys remember, I don't even remember when it was, but I talked about in a podcast episode this idea of, I think I was specifically talking about hooking up, and like what makes a good sexual, this is going on YouTube, so I gotta be careful, experience. And it's like, is it, let's just say you have a random hookup, it's like amazing, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about it. Is that better than, you're with someone and the longer you are together, you're intimate with each other, you actually get to really know each other's bodies and you're able to communicate with each other about what feels good and what doesn't. Because, like, there's a difference between performance and, like, oh, my God, he just really knows how to do this. And then, like, someone who's actually listening to you and, like, your body. And that can go for just romance, or not just romance, but that can go for romance, too. Instead of, like, oh, my God, they just do everything right. I never even have to ask. It's like, okay, great. But I think what really builds intimacy and a stronger connection is someone who's willing to learn and someone who's willing to listen and who wants to put in the effort to get to know you, And I do feel like I always go back to the Disney princess example that we all grew up with, where, oh my God, like everything's just supposed to fit perfectly, love at first sight, swept away in this romance. And I feel like maybe even subconsciously, a lot of us feel like if we talk about, what we would like romantically or intimately, it takes away some of the magic. But again, I feel like that's part of vulnerability and building a stronger connection, is talking about things that maybe you're uncomfortable about. And it can be really scary to speak up for what you want or need, because there is that possibility of getting rejected. But I don't know. I just feel like it's so much better to push through with the discomfort and take the risk of being disappointed, because otherwise the alternative is like you're just hoping they're going to read your mind. Like you're just hoping they're going to know what to do. Like, no, I'm not going to waste our time. Okay. Easier said than done, but yeah. So there's that. Then tip number 2, if you're single, do something that expresses love and appreciation for yourself or your friends. They gave the example of like a Friendsgiving, but like you could do the same for Valentine's Day. And that's what I've done in the past. It's a day of love, but that doesn't have to mean romantic love. You can have a dinner with your single friends, or even your friends that are in relationships, maybe the day before or day after Valentine's or whatever. Like, just get together with friends. It's Aquarius season, babe. Okay, if you feel particularly lonely or unloved, take the time to write down a list of the people who have loved you in your life and have shown you care and compassion. Focus upon your gratitude for their influence in your life. This could be a past teacher, coach, tutor, aunt, grandparent, therapist, or friend. This will remind you that you are indeed connected to the human community. The human community. So true. If you're having conflict with your romantic partner, write a letter of gratitude to them. This will help you refocus upon what brought you together in the first place. If you're alone, write yourself a letter about gratitude. A letter of gratitude. Give yourself the words of affirmation that you need to hear. It says, if you're brave enough, call a friend and ask them to tell you what they like and admire about you. I feel like a better way to do that would be to tell them what you're grateful for, and hopefully they return the gesture. So yeah, that was really helpful, especially the first one. I feel like setting those expectations. So, if you are, again, bro, just preface it, I'm not an expert, but and let me know your thoughts on any of this down below, or if you've been in any of these situations, what your situation is this year. You can always DM it to me too, and it's not like I'm gonna put your business out there, but I just think it's interesting, where people are at, especially around this time of year, people are assessing the tea, where are we in our romantic relationships or whatever. If you are in a newer relationship, or maybe you're just talking, what did I read? I think it was a Shan Booty video or something, but she was there's nothing wrong with wishing your hookup a happy Valentine's Day. If you guys just sleep together or whatever, sometimes just a nice text happy Valentine's Day, that can literally be enough. And I think especially if you're in if you're a girl in a relationship with a dude, but with anyone, but I just anyone can do this. If you have that fear of or that kind of stress of oh, Valentine's Day is coming up, what if he or they or she doesn't do anything for me? Oh my God, I don't want to come across as too needy, because it's not I necessarily should expect anything because the relationship is still new, or maybe we're not official or whatever. I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with coming up with a realistic plan and just being hey, what would you think about doing this? Or even just kind of bringing it up, because I'm sure they also probably have a similar stress, or just what does she expect? What did they expect? I feel traditionally a lot of dudes will just do nothing because they don't want to do something and have it not be enough, so they just do nothing, or they'll start a fight before Valentine's Day, so you're not together on that day, or like something. Hopefully that's not the case, but the point is it can just be a stressful time for both parties. So I feel like bringing something up that's like realistic. It's not like, for Valentine's Day, I want you to buy me a Rolex and fly me to the islands and get me a 20-stem rose bouquet with hundreds around all of them. You could be like, hey, like, did you want to spend time together that day? Or like, I would love to do this. Like, what do you think about that? Again, it can feel scary because you're kind of putting yourself out there. There's that chance of rejection, or like, oh, what are they going to say? But it's honestly just going to reveal so much about the relationship and like how much of a priority you are to them. Versus you're not going to say anything, but you kind of do want something to happen. You kind of do care, but it's like, oh, I don't want to seem extra. And then you ultimately end up disappointed and you're like, well, I guess they just don't care about me. But it's like, bitch, you never even brought it up either. So they could rationally think like, well, she didn't bring it up, they didn't bring it up, so how was I supposed to know? Like, especially dudes, like, they can just be so dumb sometimes. Like, it's like, bro, think. Use your fucking brain. It's not hard. Like, have you seen any romantic movie ever? Like, you dumb. Okay. Anyway. So let me know, like, have you ever done that in the past? What's the vibes? How did it work out for you? But yeah, if anything, bro, just like plan something with your friends, even if you are, kind of talking to someone or like in that new relationship phase. And yeah, removing expectations and just focusing on enjoying time together as like who you individually are, I think is the most important thing. Take all the fucking IG posts out of it and like what the celebrity couples are doing, whatever the fuck. Like, just ask yourself, like, genuinely, what would I like want to say? Like, realistically. Yeah, bitch, we'd all like to be flown out, but like, we'd all love the rose bouquet with hundreds. Like, I mean, maybe you'll get that. That's like amazing, but like, anyway, if you're just like, yeah, whatever. I'll link this article down below. There was also one from Bustle that was 7 tips for your first Valentine's Day as a couple, and it was kind of similar thing, so I just was like, whatever. But it's, like, chat about your expectations, try not to overthink it, don't go too overboard with gifts, especially like if it's a new relationship. Start your own tradition. Resist comparing your day to anyone else's. Go into full corny mode. I love that. Sometimes being corny is like the best. Like, oh my god, it's just like, thank you. Like, I live for that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you have planned for the day, if anything. If you don't, bitch, also it's just a Monday. Like, we can just fucking chill. The Super Bowl is the day before. Like, is it going to be a hungover Valentine's? We'll just have to see. Okay, so now to get to the question that this girl asked me. Let me find the specific wording. It's so funny because this was the first thing I saw when I woke up. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, she said, like, this is the first thing I saw when I woke up this morning. Hey, Stella, I hope you have an amazing week filled with amazing workouts and productivity. Like, so sweet. I just had a question about what do you do when you have to relearn why men are always disappointing? How do you get over all the bullshit and refocus on yourself again? Thank you in advance. I was like, bro, like, that is hilarious. Like, literally so on brand, so on point. Like, I appreciated this message so much. And okay, so we're going to talk about this, but I don't necessarily know if I have like specific advice. We're just going to speak from the heart. It might just turn into a rant. Dude, the thing is, I was like thinking about this the other day and like getting frustrated. But just like how when you, and I feel like this is always especially true for like men versus women and women who date men, because, as women, well, okay, period, we live in a patriarchal society. As women, we are under patriarchy, allowed to express our emotions and feel our emotions more than men. Like, men are often taught that masculinity looks like not showing any emotion. I'll be a man. Don't be a pussy, bro. Like, just stick through the pain. I want to be an alpha male. So, naturally, like, I feel like women are often a lot more interested in, like, self-help and like learning about how I can be better and communication and like things like that. Whereas men, you know, it takes them like 8 shroom trips to learn what empathy is, and then they think they have all the answers in the world, and it's like, bro, like we have actually been knowing about this since birth, but like, I mean, it's society's fault, like, can't even blame me, bro, but like, come on. So I was just kind of thinking like how when you just become so like self-aware, but then also just aware of like patriarchy and like, you know, just gender roles and like why things are the way that they are, like how much more difficult in a way it becomes to date, because a lot of dudes especially just aren't on that like vibe. And it's not everyone, obvi, but I just, you know, a lot of people in general, like, you know, it's just like, or you know, when you're like, you think you found a new girlfriend, and then like she just says something so, it's like she says something super like pick me or something, and you're like, I guess we're not actually on the same vibe, but like I'll see you at the club. You know, it's just like, fuck, like that's why I'm so grateful for like this community, because it's like you don't have to be one or the other, like bitches can enjoy everything. But anyway, yeah, so it's just like, I'm just becoming aware of like red flags, and just having certain red flags like just be a turnoff. It's like, you know, when you're in the early stages of talking to a dude, you will catch the little red flags and therefore just like not want to talk to him anymore. And then it's like exasperating, because it's like, bro, like, is anyone fucking reasonable? Like, is anyone not a red flag? So it's kind of like that line between, okay, it's not like you want, it's not like you want to expect someone to be the perfect person, but then also it's like when you are reading the books and learning about why the things are the way that they are, and then this guy comes along and is like fitting all these red flags and stuff, it's like, okay, well, this isn't about you being perfect, this is like about you treating me like a human being, and like not like, oh, this is what a woman females these days so entitled, I don't know, whatever. Is this making sense? So my answer, or like to this girl's question, is like, I don't know. I think what it comes down to is, okay, because we can't control what anyone else is doing, or like what men are gonna do, or like if they're gonna fucking learn about stuff, like whatever. So I think you just have to like be vigilant in sticking to your self, like your own values. And, you know, whenever something doesn't work out, even if it's like, oh, he said females belong in the kitchen, so I was no longer attracted to him, obviously I don't want to talk to him anymore if he thinks like that. Go even before that and just ask yourself, you know, what initially attracted me to this person? How were they treating me in the beginning? And just like write those things down. And then see if like a pattern develops of like, okay, like this is always the type of guy I go for. Like, I don't know, maybe you only talk to guys that you meet out at a bar in a specific setting, and it's kind of like the same type of guy over and over, and it keeps not working out. Like, sometimes it's not that simple, but I think once you can just, it just is kind of reassuring when you just feel like you have some control over it. And it's not just like, oh my God, every guy's the worst. It's like, okay, well, like, do I need, like, what can I do? You know, do I need to switch up like where I'm meeting guys, or like where I'm giving guys my number? Do I need to be more bold in choosing, like doing the choosing or making the first move, instead of just like going along with the guys that approach me first, you know, like, do I need to like choose some of them? And it's just like, yeah, because the truth is, it's like, it is hard. Bro, we live in capitalism, we live in like patriarchy, we live in these like terrible conditions, just overall like the vibe is just not there, like we're fighting all these like battles. Sounds like so much more dramatic than it is, but I mean, it's true. Like, especially in dating, a lot of these things will come out, and when you're reading the feminism books and like learning about why things are the way that they are historically, socially, it's like, oh, this again. And it's normal to feel discouraged too, I think. And I guess that would be like another tip is I said that to another girl on Instagram. Like, I think one of her goals for February was to not date because she was like getting so sick of it. And like, bro, that can be a really good thing. Like sometimes dating just feels exasperating. Is that just like my word of the day? Like, I think I've said that multiple times. And not fun. And I feel like dating is supposed to feel fun. If anything, entertaining, you know, and if it's not feeling like that, and it's just feeling like a drag, like take some time off. Like don't talk to anybody. Like just focus on you, your friends, having fun, and like, I don't want to say, oh, the right person will show up at the right time, but sometimes you just need a break. And once you get back to it, then you can refine that spark and maybe be a little more like hopefully aware, and like therefore you can attract like different types of people than you have in the past. So those are just like a few of my major thoughts, but I just also want to completely validate this girl's experience because I've definitely been there where like it just seems like every guy has so many red flags and it's just so annoying and just like, ugh, like bro, like are any of you normal? We just gotta take a deep breath and like chill. So if you have any advice on this, or if you have any rants or thoughts you want to share on the subject, please let us know in a comment or message me or put it in the Discord, because I know it's something a lot of us deal with, and I know if you listen to this podcast you probably relate because I'm sure you like have read some feminism books or like read the red flag books or like are aware of patriarchy in some way. So yeah, it can definitely be fucking annoying. So I don't know if that's helpful or maybe just validating, but I completely relate and pray for us. Okay guys, I'm actually getting starving. I ate so much this weekend and it was amazing, and I just feel like my metabolism's like go like. So I'm gonna go eat my Caesar salad with some wings. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope this episode was helpful, especially in regards to Valentine's Day and everything like that. Don't forget again to screenshot this, put it on your story, or take an aesthetic pic of your TV, your car, whatever. If you're taking a quaint walk, do that. Like, I want to see where y'all are at when you're listening. I love it so much. Can't wait to chat with you guys on the Discord, read your comments, read your messages, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.